So another one of these apps, I call them, is embedded into Teams that I've been messing around with, is an app called Miro. This one could be quite useful for your lessons and a good way of getting your students to interact with each other. All of the apps that I've been looking at there's some different things I really want to get out of it. One, they have to be embedded into Teams. I don't want them to have to go to different places. I just want them to be able to click on the link directly from the lesson. And the other thing is different ways in which I can get students to be more interactive in the lesson. So, coming up with ideas together, perhaps bits of group work and different things like that. So that's the sort of brief I've been looking at. And I found this app, which is called Miro. And the easiest way to describe it is it's a bit like an interactive whiteboard that's embedded into your lesson. So same as all of them, you click on the plus button up here, and then mine already exists here, but for you guys you'll need to search for it. So you just type in Miro, and then the app appears here. So if you just click on it, now like with all these apps, the first thing you're going to need to do is create yourself an account, and the easiest way to do that is to use your Microsoft login. So click on the red box, I think it is, and then type in your school email address and your password, whatever it is you're using. And then you're ready to go, basically. You can create different boards here. So let's just, I've got some different ones that I've been using in the lessons and doing with my IB students recently. So if we click on create a new board, okay, and then we can call that board whatever we want. So let's just call it Miro test board. Test for video, that'll do. And then down here we've got some different things that you want to click on. So I've been using anyone can view. To be honest, the link for this is just in your lesson anyway. So I don't really understand why you'd want to make it private and sign in, to be honest. But so this is what I've been choosing. But if you really were worried about it, you could make it private and have a sort of login for people to do. But anyone can view. Nothing I'm particularly worried about, nothing sensitive on these pages that I'm particularly going to be worried about. I click save. Okay, so now what it's going to do is it's going to embed that board into my page on Teams. Okay, so what that looks like, it looks like it's a big interactive whiteboard here, but what does that look like to the students? So if I go back to the page where it's been embedded, it just looks like this, and they can access it just by clicking on there, and then it opens up what I just had up. So this basically is a big whiteboard, and it goes on in pretty much indefinitely. You can go left, right, up, down. You can drag this. So if you run out of space, you can just drag to the left and continue out there. You can zoom in, zoom out using these two icons here. So you can make it smaller, make it bigger, zoom in on a particular bit if you wanted to focus on that. And I've just been using it really as a way of getting all the students participating in the lesson and inputting stuff that I want them to on here. So I would start probably with a Zoom meeting, explaining that maybe they're going to do a bit of a mind map or a bit of research together. You could set up different boards for different sets of students and ask and then tag them on your page and get them all to interact with it. I've done it mostly as a whole sort of group. Now, what things you can do? On the left-hand side here, you've got a range of different icons, and you've also got icons down here, and if you hold your mouse over them, it will tell you what they're for, as we're used to. So select icon. In here is quite nice. There's some different templates. If you wanted to start off your lesson, perhaps you want to make this up before your lesson. So mind map type of thing, all sorts of, if you want to talk about days of the week, perhaps, or whatever. There's also these sort of preset ones. There's lots of different ones in here. I haven't actually found all of them yet, but it's worth having a look through and see if any of the structures suit the lesson that you want to do, or you can just have it. So you're just working off nothing if you wanted to, and add them in and make them yourself. So let's start off with a sort of mind map one, just to show you what's happening here. So I could start off with something perhaps typed in the center. So we've been doing a flat pack furniture project. I can type that in the center, and then perhaps my students could start inputting and clicking on and adding these. Well, what's quite nice is you can move these around and it still stays connected. If you push the plus button, if you wanted to add, I don't know, let's say we were talking about materials here, you could ask them to add in different materials. What's also quite nice is once the student has inputted it and you're happy with what they've written, you can then lock it. Okay, so no other students can access it. You can highlight bits of it, insert links if you wanted to insert a link to a particular website or a video that branches off in those sort of directions. And this is what we've been mainly using it for in our lessons, or I've been using it for in my lesson, to actually get the students researching and interacting. You could insert a picture in the middle and then ask them to actually comment around it, how it makes them feel, or in terms of GT lessons, maybe a bit of product analysis annotating it, or perhaps you could add in a bit of work or a sketch a student has done and then talk about the improvements that they could make. There's lots of different ways in which they could do it. Just going into a little bit more detail, here you can add in text. These sticky notes are quite nice. You can change your color, add in a sticky note which can then be text on. If we add these ones here, what we can do is add in lots of different things. So I know your mathematicians will be getting excited with your tables and charts and grids and things like that. There's the mind map one there. One thing I wanted to add in, just to show you the shapes there. Web page capture. So if there's a particular website you wanted the students to be accessing as part of the lesson or wanted them to have a look at, if I click on here, I can type in a website. Let's pick one at random. So www.reptondubai.gt.com. That's our website, shameless plug there. And what it does, it takes a little while to load in, but that's going to give me a sort of screenshot of a particular website or things like that, which is quite nice. There are different options down there. So frames is effectively adding in another sort of page or another layer. If you want a presentation mode, if you want to take away all of the different text and things like that and just see it as it would look, and you would do. This website is quite large, but you can see here, I can have this web page actually embedded in, and I can lock that there. So this is our sort of front page of what our website looks like. So that will actually fit in down there. So I'll zoom out, you can see where it looks like a little bit more. You could have that there as a starting point if you wanted. You can have a chat option. So if students weren't doing what you wanted them to, or you wanted to actually write in a bit more instruction, you can add in chats there and different things like that with share screen. Now this is quite a nice feature. If you can actually click on here, and as you can see, it's only me been interacting, but it will actually tell you who's been interacting with it, who's been typing, or what time they typed. So you can easily see sort of, student interaction levels in the lesson. Okay, so really it's a bit of software that is a bit like an interactive whiteboard, a bit like when we do conventional lessons perhaps, and you start them with a discussion around this. There's lots of different, I'm sure you'll be able to think yourselves about lots of different applications to how you might be able to use this in lessons. As I said, I've mainly been using it just to get students to interact together, all contribute into one space and all one thing. I can then take a screenshot of this, or and then put it back onto the Teams to show Teams page to show the sort of what we've been talking about. I wouldn't normally do this for a whole lesson. This might be just a sort of starter activity or something as part of a lesson, just to get the students sort of on board and interacting. But it's quite nice. It's working quite well to get the students interacting with each other and contributing into that, as I said. So yeah, another app that links directly into Teams, Miro. I hope you find this video useful. And if you find anything else that's interesting it can do, let me know. Thank you.